Hey everyone, I'm Nito King, and we're back to the Undersea City in Chapter 3. But it's time to leave for just a moment and go do some questing. Now this time around, we've actually got plenty of quests to do. Way more than can fit in one video. The downside is, yet again, nothing to do during the daytime. No daytime quests at all, in-game or DLC. On the other hand, since we're doing everything at night, there's plenty to see, and I know you guys are going to love what we've got for you tonight. Check out who's in the bridge house. Charlie and Scarecrow. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure this is the first Keats has ever talked to Scarecrow. I suspect we found somebody who's got a quest for us this chapter. And Frizzy's way over at the far end of the bar today. If I remember correctly, she predicted Dr. Lester's death. I can't remember exactly when. So here are the quests we've got. We can do Shield Wall again, and in fact, the reward has gone up quite a bit, as we'll see later. But for now, let's take on some new quests. Like one for a picture book page. Yeah, the quests for this chapter are going to have us going all over the place. But Warcadia is probably the least fun, so good to get it out of the way early. Yep, this is Jimmy's quest, alright. I'm not really sure why he doesn't just tell us. But they have to leave some suspense for when you actually finish the quest. All we need to do is go through the first half of Warcadia again, and nothing has changed at all, except my folk palette. You might be able to tell, Kraken is pretty awesome. One burst will actually kill quite a few things. Granted, it's expensive enough that once I've used it, I have to wait for my MC to recharge completely before I can use it again. But generally, one use is going to keep everything stunned for plenty of time for that to happen. And I'm already something close to halfway to building up its first karma. The best part is, I'm pretty sure these guys aren't even particularly weak to ice. And Kraken's not really that strong. It just hits so many times for so little MC on top of the initial, half your bar. Just keep it focused on the enemies for a few seconds, and everything just kinda drops dead. I guess the only real downside is it tends to push things back, so they get far enough away, I gotta move up and finish the job. Oh well, it's not really that big a problem. And there we have it. Now it's a little cheaper. Not that that's gonna be a big deal. It's the kind of thing you only ever use once at a time. So we'll build up Excedra instead. Excedra's attack is not nearly as impressive. It's much stronger for a single hit, and it's actually pretty cheap. But things will be a lot more effective here if I just... Oh, right. I don't have an attack on my square button. Just hit these guys a couple times with Azrai, and you can see it only takes 3 hits to bring out the red id at this point. Azrai is very strong. And once they're down to red, one attack from Excedra is enough to kill them. So it's not going to take too long to build this one up either. And then that'll save me a bit of time when it comes to the grinding video. Otherwise, it's the same Warcadia we've all seen. I don't know where that ice ball went. I guess it must have hit something if it wasn't the barrager. The only real downside to Excedra is it's not all that easy to target stuff specifically. I mean, if you've got lock on, then it aims well enough. I think it's easier to find the right distance than it is with Gargantua because it doesn't arc upwards and then downwards. Although my many attempts to hit this crystal don't really support that. And then I don't even get a reward from it. Yeah, for Excedra, the distance you have to be away from the folk is a lot shorter. So, not as much of a long-range attack, but if you want to put a lot of ice damage into something, it's probably a good choice. If you want to put a lot of ice damage into a lot of somethings, go with Kraken. I suppose Augusky is surprisingly strong too. But I haven't had the chance to build up its final karma yet. We'll get to all of that in due time, of course. Kinda wanted to hit this guy before he recovered, but that's alright. 2 Excedra shots are plenty to take him down. And it's almost unexpected to run out of MC if you're attacking with Excedra. It's cheap. It's really strong and really cheap. And it's almost built up as well. Shouldn't be too much longer, and once I've finished with Excedra, I'll just go ahead and skip to the end here. Because nothing really interesting happens during the rest of this fight. See, now I've just got to defeat 10 Bougainvillea, I think, with both Excedra and Kraken. And they won't be appearing for a very long time. So, here's Kraken versus Volcano. Again, he doesn't have any particular weakness to it, but it does so many hits in such a short time, it doesn't need to be all that strong. Yeah, may as well capture him, just to finish the job. Of course, I'm probably getting a lot more experience than you're really meant to this early in the game, but it doesn't affect a whole lot except for your hit points. And as you'll see in some of the later videos, I need all the hit points I can get. Anyway, we're finally at the end to find out why the folks can't just scare Wild away. Yeah, nothing scares society more than noticing you guys either. Well, the things he says seem kind of contradictory. It's like, we can't let any humans see us, but if a few humans see us, that's okay. Nobody's going to believe them. So Ellen and Keats are basically children? I'm kinda confused as to why it appears that Wild is giving us this stuff. I mean, the ruby, I guess, was valuable to him, and he doesn't want it anymore. Picture book page can't have been useful to anyone. And it's not like we helped him or anything. But let's see what the final secret of Warcadia is. I used to think that meant that you were supposed to use fire on the Patriots, but I think it's the other way around. It's showing you that you can use Patriot to block Volcano's flamethrower. You know, if you didn't have to capture a volcano in order to get to Patriot. Oh well, next quest. This one is a fun one. It's only available if you've caught at least one Bugaboo. The reward's not great, but you kinda have to do it anyway. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're taking Bugaboo for a walk! Which effectively means we gotta fight through the first half of the fairy realm using only Bugaboo. No shields, no other attacks, just Bugaboo. You can probably tell now why I stopped to build it up while I was still here rather than waiting until the grinding video. Because the extra range makes scenes like this a lot easier. And also we can collect a lot more pulse tree nuts from the Pokas. Granted, I can get all the pulse tree nuts I want, but I think one of the later folks, I can't remember whether for Keats or Ellen or maybe both, there's a karma that requires, I believe, 99 pulse tree nuts to unlock. So I really do want to stock up, even though they don't really seem to be worth all that much, and they're easy to come by. The other interesting thing is, yes, you do have to capture or kill every folk in this quest. But it's really easy because they like to surround you. And that's the kind of situation in which Bugaboo really excels. Now, it looks like there's another red id back there for just a second, but no, that's just the spirit barrier preventing me from going into a dead end. And the targeting made that look really weird. I guess there's not really a whole lot of point to targeting folks when you're using Bugaboo. Really, it's just a matter of being up close. So the targeting just helps you keep them in your sights and doesn't have any practical combat purpose. I haven't really seen any denizens around here. And also for a moment I kind of thought maybe this was the tree that we're supposed to go to. But no, we gotta keep going. It would have been a really trivial quest if it was just the one room. Not that it's a particularly difficult quest otherwise, but we do at least have to fight a Pori. And as I've mentioned, fighting Pori is a lot easier if you keep your distance. Unfortunately, even with all of its karmas unlocked, Bugaboo is not a long-range attack. So, this fight could at least be interesting. I mean, its attack doesn't have to come anywhere close to you to hit you. Just play the waiting game a bit, try to lure it into attacking, and then go in for the kill. It's so nice not to have to use some kind of complicated capture method. Oh yes, those are coming. Not necessarily in this quest, fortunately. Yeah, we are kinda stopping in every room along the way to comment on how the fairy realm looks. In Chapter 3, when we've been through this many times before. Well, the good news is we don't have to try to fight Andrast with nothing but Bugaboo. That would probably be difficult, even by fairy realm standards. I think I just completely didn't notice I had stunned that other Buga. Yeah, Trent is about the biggest threat we face in this quest, I think. And here I am at full health. Now I'm at full health again. And this is a room where normally a Pori would appear. I just have to fight a bunch of Kilmulas. Where's the challenge? I mean, considering you can't do this quest until Chapter 3, when you've caught a Bugaboo, it's a little underwhelming. Nope, only one more screen of fighting to go. And I guess maybe they did save the best for last. At least we have to fight some hinky punks. And you may remember, Bugaboo is actually weak to fire. Not that I plan to let them hit me with any. Not that weaknesses are particularly relevant for folks that you're using. But at the very least, they've got attack patterns that could be some threat to me. They do almost no damage. The entire quest is kind of a joke, but it's nice to actually get some use out of Bugaboo, and it's always interesting when they try to turn your folks into actual characters. And there are a few of those quests later. Probably downloaded quests, I don't remember. But they do some interesting things with some of the other folks. And I get one of each kind of tree nut, just in time to finish the quest and get 3 more of each. Isn't that so cute? Well, that's another quest down, but more importantly, we now have enough cold tree nuts to build up etc. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's got one more karma. And we've got tons of golden ore. So now Excedra is even cheaper. And a quick rundown of other things that I'm going to need to do along the way. Because we've got one more quest left for this video, and this is quite likely the hardest quest so far. But the reward is so worth it. Now when it says Forgotten Palace, we're not actually going into the Forgotten Palace. Keats still can't access that area. It just means that we're going to have to fight our way through the first half of the Undersea City, like in all the other quests. The difference is we've now actually got two restrictions. One, this Anwen is going to follow us through the entire quest, and it's pretty tough to keep it alive. The second restriction is, like the quest description said, we can only use Anwen and Azrai. Not just Anwen, that would make this quest impossible because everything we fight here is immune to ice attacks. Yeah, I've only just started and the Anwen is already taking a lot of damage. And I gotta fight Selkies, which have a tendency to fall to the ground and be immune to damage. There's Azrai's Red Id. It isn't good. The good news is, I don't have to worry about trying to capture Selkies because I can't draw out their ids. I have no Earth Elemental attacks. But it's an entire quest of just fighting with Azrai. It gets worse. At least, the music is still cool. And up ahead is the only reason that we even need Anwen in this quest, because we need to break the blue crystals. Now, interestingly enough, a one crystal gap is not wide enough for the Afank to fit through. So if I manage to keep my distance, run in, do some attacking, and then get out of the way, and the Anwen doesn't get in with their attacks, then I can just very slowly but methodically take these guys out with no danger to myself. And as long as I get the distance right, I can even capture them safely. Unfortunately, that's not really going to last. Because the Auguski is still kind of a threat, and it can hit me from there, so I'm just going to kill the Afank. It's a heck of a lot easier. And then go after Auguski. While Anwen displays a complete lack of any survival instinct. It's sort of annoying that the folk you're escorting always try to get close to you. And fortunately, it drew its Red Id back in just before Auguski's came out. Otherwise, that could have been a problem. As far as I know, you can actually absorb your partner's id, and it's an instant failure. Although I imagine that it would probably just make me walk back through the other rooms. How are you supposed to dodge that? They dropped the ice block on Anwen the moment I entered the room. And there are 3 of it's basically just kind of a juggling act trying to keep them all away from Anwen, which is not doing too well. At least Azrai is a nice, powerful attack and doesn't take too many hits to kill a Selkie. I mean, especially since I can't stun them properly. I can't draw out their red id. How did he drop an ice block on me while he's fainted? There must be another Selkie somewhere. Thought I had taken care of them all, but there it is. I think I was hitting the square button there. Once again, I can't remap the controls to buttons that I'm used to having these folks on. So I gotta remember to hit triangle to use Azrai. I had forgotten that they did that. Haven't seen many exploding crystals in the game, have we? Well, we're almost at the end. We're already at the room where Kraken appears. Fortunately, there's no Kraken here because I don't have anything that I could use to fight it. There's also no Druruku, and no Azrai or Anwen. Would be kinda silly for them to be opposing Anwen getting home. But fighting Auguskis with a melee attack is not very much fun. They put up their ice shields, and you just can't get close. At least I think Anwen is resistant to ice attacks, so most of the attacks here don't really do a lot of damage to it. Otherwise, I think this quest would be just about impossible. As it is, it's still pretty nearly impossible. But there's another karma for Auguski. I believe the final one is 5 cold tree nuts. And once again, I've just got to keep these guys distracted and try not to let Auguski raise its ice shield too close to where my Anwen is sitting there, once again attempting to recover. At least it regains some hit points every time it recovers. I really don't want to think about what would happen if it never got any HP back. I'm 1 cold tree nut short of building up Auguski. And that's about all I'll be able to do for now. 1 more room. And the good news is, I think the game is pretty much done with surprises. Again, we've got a nice barrier of blue crystals, but it isn't really going to be all that effective. It's just Auguski and Selkie together. We've done this in the regular game. I don't think they're actually all that much more threatening than some of the combinations we've already seen in this quest. Plus, it might even be possible to trap Anwen on the far side of those ice blocks for a while, and keep it out of the way of most of the damage. As it is, as long as you bounce back and forth between the 2 Selkies and don't make the mistake I've been making this whole quest of waiting for one to get up so you can attack it, there's no danger at all. And we're done! We get to the gates of the Forgotten Palace, deliver Anwen to his friends, and get our awesome reward. Our reward is our first rare folk. The rare folks are the ones that you get from the quests that are not DLC. There are some quest rewards for the DLC quests that are folks, and those are in the same category as Quasarilli and Maximilian. But there we have it. That'll do it for all of the new quests for this chapter, other than DLC. And this video has already gone on way too long. So we'll take on the DLC quests next time. And in case you were wondering, here's the reward for doing Shield Wall again. Heck of a lot better than 2 yellow dust, but still stuff that I can collect pretty easily on my own. So see you next time.